Have you ever wondered why the green herb was the magical cure-all in the Resident Evil series? In RE4 and RE5, Leon and Chris spray it on themselves like it's the new scent from Axe body spray and magically heal all their wounds, including Chris's broken hand. In RE7, you pair a green herb with either the yellow or orange Gatorade flavors, and now you can reattach broken limbs.
Nice.
In the first few games before it became Febrez's new fragrance or Mentos' newest flavor, it was either used in one of two ways. Number one is the Jay and Silent Bob method.
Rolling fatties, smoking blunts. Who smokes the blunts? We smoke the blunts.
Number two is the more probable way. But regardless of how it's used, how is this little herb so effective? And does it taste good on chicken? Well, I'm here to try to answer at least one of those questions. The green herb and its subspecies are native to the Arklay Mountains. However, these herbs can still be found in Antarctica, Southern Europe, and Africa. So, if it's native to the Arklay Mountains, how can these plants also be found growing indigenously in these other locations? When you think about the one factor they all have in common, the Umbrella Corporation, or more specifically, Umbrella Research Bases. In the Arklay Mountains and Antarctica, Umbrella was conducting research on the T-virus. In Africa, Umbrella found the Stairway of the Sun, a plant which had genomes on which they were able to create the Progenitor Virus. Put a pin in this as we'll be coming back to it. Now, I'm sure some of you are already saying, but there weren't any Umbrella facilities in Spain, and they weren't testing the T-virus in Spain, they were working on the Las Plagas. And you'd be right. Until you remember that the continent of Europe was the site of the parent company to both Umbrella Europe and Umbrella US. Europe is also where the Nemesis Alpha project was created. And if all of this wasn't proof enough of Umbrella's footprint in Europe, where does Claire get captured before she's taken to Rockford Island?
We caught her trespassing in our Paris lab facility 10 days ago.
So it seems that the green herb and its subspecies aren't just native to the Arklay Mountains. They are native to wherever the T-virus is. Well, what could this mean? Remember that pin we placed a second ago? We're going to need that back. So, the Progenitor Virus was created by using the genomes from the Stairway of the Sun, a plant found in the heart of Africa considered to be the cradle of civilization, as this plant would reactivate junk, dead DNA, causing humans who ate this plant to have genetic defects and most people dying, but the survivors gained superhuman abilities. Oswald E. Spencer wanted to cultivate this plant and the progenitors trained to become a god. The first step to becoming a god? Immortality is a good start. Well, how can this be achieved? Cellular regeneration. What does the Stairway of the Sun do? Reactivate junk DNA. Where is the DNA found? In the nucleus of the cell. What? So, of course, Mr. Spencer tried to cultivate a serum which would regenerate and reactivate dead cells. This led to the creation of the T-virus. Now, what does all this have to do with the green herb, you may be asking? Because this is the evidence on which we're building our theory that the green herbs are actually creations of the T-virus and carriers of the T-virus themselves. I know this sounds like an absolutely crazy idea, but think for just a moment that it could be so crazy it just might work. Especially when, like me, you've put a little bit too much time into researching this. Allow me to present my thoughts. What brought this whole idea to my mind is I was reading about how the flora and fauna in Chernobyl have been affected throughout the years. Look how much they've mutated in just 34 years. This created the idea of what about fictional places where evil science was being conducted? How would the plants and animals be affected? The first question I had to ask myself was, if the green herb has T-virus properties in it, why is it that no one gets infected and zombified when used or even consumed? Easy. Through several years of evolution and distillation. I know that evolution should take about 1 million years. How long was the T-virus in the Arklay Mountains? Since around the 1960s. Normally this would throw a wrench in my theories, until you remember that the progenitor genome mutates the host and promotes rapid cell regeneration. And what is the definition of the word regeneration? The formation of new animal or plant tissue. So if you have a plant where its genome is all about mutating and forming new tissue, it'll evolve faster and faster until, who knows? The distillation came from remnants and traces of failed tea experiments that were discarded and disposed of around the soil of umbrella facilities. An opposing factor to this theory is, why didn't the other plants evolve and mutate then like the green herbs did? Much like the stairway of the sunflower, it had a 99% mortality rate, but the survivors were given superhuman abilities. We've seen what can happen when a plant is injected directly with the T virus, and now we've seen what can happen when traces of tea get stripped down and filtered through years of waste and disposal. Through this distillation process, the progenitor genome isn't as abundant or overpowering, causing cell regeneration to take place for a moment, then die out shortly after it's ingested. The second question I had to ask after this theory was, well, what about red, blue, and yellow herbs? Your Honor, allow me to make my case. Red herbs are green herbs that have gone through the process of V-Act. V-Act is when the T virus becomes reactivated after a state of dormancy. Red herbs are just green herbs that reach their end of life, began to wilt, reactivated with a higher potency, and then will shortly die out again. This higher potency allows the cell regeneration to work faster in tandem with fresh tea from a green herb, but still die out shortly so as not to cause full viral infection. Further evidence to support this theory is our very own crimson heads. Note the similar red tinting that takes place after dormancy and reactivation. Blue herbs are green herbs grown in different environments. Plants and fruit can change their properties depending on what conditions and environments they're grown in. For example, fruits can be sweeter if grown in a cooler environment, as colder environments help produce more potassium, increasing the sugar in fruits. Also, did you ever wonder why blue herbs heal your characters when they're poisoned by spiders or plants, but not when you're injected with Yawn's venom? This is because the venom in the spiders and snakes are two different kinds. What enemies can give you the poison status in the RE games? Specifically in Resident Evil 1, the spiders you face are just known as the giant spiders, but could possibly be the Missouri tarantula, as Raccoon City is based in Missouri. The type of venom most tarantulas have is neurotoxin, affecting the nervous system, having paralyzing effects. Yawn, on the other hand, is based on an adder snake who has cytotoxic venom. Cytotoxic venom causes the skin and cells to die, causing your skin to die around the affected area. It's a nasty sight. Don't Google it. Thus, blue herbs are used as the antidote against neurotoxin. Fun little fact there for you. There is actually some possible truth proving that blue herbs are just green herbs grown in different environments, and the games provide some amazing evidence to back this theory. We've stated that blue herbs grow in cooler environments, and in each Resident Evil game where blue herbs are present, they are consistently found indoors, away from direct sunlight. This goes for every single blue herb except for one, the main garden courtyard in Resident Evil 1. But if you remember the placement of those blue herbs, the planter is right next to the fountain, running water, keeping it cool and watered even if it's outside. There are no blue herbs in Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, or 7. This can also be explained by the location. Southern Europe, Africa, and Louisiana are either too hot to grow blue herbs, or none have been planted indoors or in cooler environments. It's possible that there could have been blue herbs in 4, 5, and 6, but you don't really linger in the same place like you do in the earlier Resident Evil games. Yellow herbs are only found in Europe in RE4, as the climate in Spain is the perfect ecosystem for yellow herbs, which are actually the only species of green herbs native to that area. The reason for this is the same as the blue herbs. Different environments and ecosystems will change the plant and its properties. Think of herbs like peppers, grown in different locations, different soils, hybrids all create different levels of spiciness. Well, what about green herbs found in different locations in America or even in China in Adonia, such as in RE6? In America, it can be attributed to LDD, long distance dispersal, sending seeds out to be caught with the wind or even shot out like this weird little flower here. It's also not surprising to believe that green herbs originated in the Arklay Mountains, or around Umbrella Labs, to be also used in culinary items. This is proven in the Resident Evil 2 remake how they've turned it into an ice cream. What else could they have used it for? For other locations across the world where Umbrella factories are not present, trade and commerce. Such as how one of America's top importers of medicinal herbs is from China. But not those ones. Those, don't use those. So with all this evidence that's been presented, is it possible that there is a strain of the Progenitor Virus from T cells inside of these innocent plants?
You left one damning piece of evidence at the scene of the crime!
For my last trick, I will provide you with my coup de grace of evidence, and it comes from RE7. When Jack Baker is chasing you in the starting area, there's a chance that he can grab you and dismember your foot, leaving you to writhe in pain on the ground. He taunts you with a health item that Ethan uses to reattach, otherwise known as replanting, his severed foot back on, and not even 10 seconds later, he's back on his feet and running from Jack. In regular cases of replanting severed limbs, most patients will recover the use of their limb in about 24 to 48 hours, but require months of physical therapy. Then there's also a chance for permanent damage to also be present. Now let's look at the details. How do you craft a health item in RE7? Chem fluid and a green herb. But it's the properties of the green herb in the chem fluid that instantly heals the cuts and dismemberment. How do we know this? Because Ethan has to pour the health item onto his affected area. The green herb is a solid item while the chem fluid is liquid. The chem fluid can't be used by itself to heal Ethan's wounds. Now you might be thinking, there might be something in the chem fluid that when paired with a green herb turns it into that amazing healing liquid. This leads us to ask, what exactly is in the chem liquid? It could just be another one of Umbrella's creations. What if I told you that the chem fluid is nothing more than a form of chloroethane, otherwise known as ethyl chloride? Ethyl chloride is used in modern medicine as a local anesthetic. This could explain how Ethan can pour this onto his severed foot and immediately walk again, as anesthetics create an absence of pain in the affected area. But what about other items Ethan can craft with his chem fluid? Chloroethane was also used to make tetraethyllead, an anti-knock additive for gasoline to increase the fuel's octane rating by reducing the temperature and pressure at which autoignition occurs. That would be pretty handy for a makeshift flamethrower now, wouldn't it? As far as the psychostimulants, chloroethane is also used as a recreational drug in Brazil called lança perfume. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Add or abuse this with supplements and it could easily become quite a trip. For the gunpowder and bullets, yeah, this one doesn't really make any sense in any form of reality. How does mixing a chemical with gunpowder create perfect bullets with metal casings and primers and all that? I mean, unless it could be used for ethyl chloride's uses as a thickening agent. So, quick summary. Green herbs are plants which promote cellular regeneration due to mutation and evolution through disposal of T-virus infected test subjects into the soil around the Arklay Mountains and other umbrella facilities without the extreme effects of the T-virus due to distillation through the soil and through mutation. Red herbs are green herbs that have gone through the process of VACT and retain the cellular regeneration to a stronger degree when paired with green herbs. Blue herbs are green herbs grown in a different environment and positively affect the nervous system as opposed to cell regeneration. Yellow herbs are green herbs grown in a different climate and temperature. And the chem fluid in Resident Evil 7 is very possibly just a form of chloroethane due to its similar uses in the items that you can craft. So there we have it. Green herbs contain remnants and traces of the Progenitor Virus through T-virus experiments, causing it to have extreme healing properties without the adverse effects of T. I hope you enjoyed my mad ranting and raving, and please remember that this is just a wacky theory I had to further explain the realism in the Resident Evil universe, and I hope this helps you suspend your disbelief just a little bit more. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment down below for your thoughts on this theory, or leave ideas and theories of your own. Hit the subscribe button as it always helps me out, and ring that bell if you'd like to be notified. I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye bye!